Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@the1916company.com for purchase pricing and availability questions concerning this watch. Today, we're discussing a fourth generation and current series FP Journe Chronometre à résonance. It is a watch in 40 millimeters with the factory platinum bracelet, white gold dial, solid gold movement. It is a weighty thing. Before we get to the measured dimensions of the watch, the three-dimensional factors, let's talk about mass and mass alone, because I put this on my scale, and at 246.68 grams, it is a monstrous, greater than half-pound block of precious metals. But at 40 millimeters, it is a little bit more compact than its 42 millimeter brother. That said, you're going to define this watch not by the case size, but by the lug-to-lug and end-link to end-link span. So 40 millimeters in diameter, 11 millimeters thick, lug-to-lug 48.5 millimeters, but it's the span across the wrist, the rigid distance, end-link to end-link, that's a meteor 56.8 millimeters, 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. You'll see on my wrist it wears a bit large because of this unique bracelet, which is a much sought piece. But you can see that the watch is broader across my wrist. Now it still fits, but I'm going to say that if you're going to wear this on the bracelet, you want a wrist my size or larger. Now, if you're going to take it off the bracelet and wear it on a strap, then you can wear it on a wrist as small as 14 centimeters circumference. It's reasonably thin, and with the domed bezel, it will fit underneath the cuff, so it's outstanding in that regard. One of the advantages, actually, let's talk about the two biggest advantages of buying this watch on the bracelet. First, of course, you have a better watch for exceptionally hot weather when sweat, perspiration, hot atmosphere, scalding sun, things that would cause you to quickly foul a strap are not a problem with the bracelet, which can be rinsed and easily cleaned and never requires replacement. Now, I'm not telling you that this is going to save you money, just that it will save you inconvenience and allow you to keep your watch ever fresh by cleaning it. So that's one advantage of the bracelet. It also breathes better on a hot day, and you can see the gaps between the links, a large reason for that. The bracelet also gives you a counterweight to the mass of the watch. So between the bracelet and the clasp, if you like to wear your watch loose, sometimes a watch on a strap that has an enormously heavy watch head and then a light strap and maybe a pin buckle or just a small clasp, it can want to hula hoop or capsize on your wrist. Well, this won't, because it's counterweighted all the way around by this platinum band. So if you want to wear it loose, there's not going to be a ton of unwanted extra movement. The bracelet's a lovely piece, a 5-link design, and of course Journe making bracelets, cases, clasps, dials, movements, a fully integrated manufacturer despite building fewer than 1,000 mechanical watches per year. We have removable links which are fixed in place using screws, and of course if you take a good close look, you can see the screws are actually made of white gold, and the idea there is that white gold is mechanically stronger than platinum, so it's less likely to be stripped out when you're using a jeweler's screwdriver on those links. The clasp itself is relatively simple. You can see it too is white gold, and this is a rare instance where you'll see what unplated white gold looks like. So rhodium-plated white gold would be exactly like this, ultra-white platinum. But white gold in its traditional form is lighter than yellow gold, but also warmer than something like gray gold or rhodium-plated white gold. So this is white gold for a specific reason. It's because white gold is mechanically the strongest gold. So if you're going to have these small moving parts like swing arms on a platinum watch, Journe has decided, and JLC feels the same way, that these small moving parts need a stronger material than platinum. And if you're going to go with gold, white gold looks best with platinum, plus it is mechanically the strongest. Rolling around to the case, you can see we have these solid end links. It mates perfectly to the case. Of course, the bracelet and case designed and built in the same place, so it's a hand and glove fit. We have two crowns. This is the fourth generation of the resonance. The third was the parking meter. Yes, there was a watch between that and this. That's considered to be something of an anniversary piece, whereas this is considered to be the true fourth generation. One feature that was carried over from the first and the third generation watches, we have a double dial with symmetrical form. That wasn't true of the third, but it was true of the first. And true of the first and the third, one is 12, one is 24, so you can use this as a true dual time, giving you AM, PM distinction in the second or remote time zone, the place where you are not. So You now wind and set using a crown up at about 2 o'clock. That's a big upgrade over the previous bullhead winder and setter. I saw people break their watches because they were trying to get at that crown and they either applied too much force or a weird type of leverage. This is much easier. You can see how I'm able to wind the watch quite conveniently. I don't need to remove the strap to do so. And then when I pull the crown out, I adjust it the same way we always have with the resonance. One direction adjusts one dial, the other adjusts its opposite. The dial's white gold. It's a media blast. We have a polished steel bezel around the sub-registers. It's got a beautiful bilateral symmetry. We have a power reserve indicator. It's a 42-hour power reserve, but the idea is that you'll wind it every 24 hours. The remontoir constant force devices that maintain constant force to the escapements, both of them, and constant amplitude, that only runs for 28 hours. So you want to make sure that you wind it before 28 hours elapses. The easiest way to do that is to just wind it in the morning, the same time every day when you put it on. Another thing worth mentioning is that it takes about 7 to 10 minutes for acoustic resonance to couple the two sides of this movement. So you may find that eventually the seconds hand on each side is locked into a permanent askew orientation with its opposite number. Now they're moving at the same speed, but they're not symmetrical. So there's a flyback right here that allows you to quickly reset them, wait 10 minutes, then reset them, and they will be linked. Also, if you want to use this as a zero reset to effectively synchronize with the clock, you can do that too. Turning it over, the movement is large. As you can see, this is a caliber 1520, and it's made of rose gold, 18-karat bridges and plates. So you've got a watch with a gold dial, a platinum case, a platinum bracelet, a gold clasp, a gold movement. Yeah, you can see how this thing is over half a pound. So we have two balances. They beat at 3 hertz. They're both free-sprung and adjusted in 6 positions. The free-sprung architecture allowing very precise adjustment, but also good shock resistance. You can see that the hairsprings are flat and they're opposite in their orientation. Look at the location of the stud holders. That's your cue. And because these two things beat in opposition and they're synchronized by acoustic resonance, if because of position or some sudden movement of the wrist, one is caused to slow down, the other will sort of yoke it back up to speed. So they are not just synchronized, they are self-correcting. 62 joules, no one ever said it would be simple. We now have a single barrel as opposed to the first 3 generations, which used a double barrel. What we have on the dial side is a little view of the differential that ensures both sides receive the same amount of energy from the barrel. And what's fascinating here is the standards of FP Journe watch decoration improving quite dramatically. You can see this black polished and beveled steel frame. And then you can see we have these sterling silver hours, minutes, and seconds that have been silvered and whitened to give that sort of white aesthetic, but they are sterling silver. We have the blue tapered Journe hands, which are very distinctive, but look at the steel bridge at center. Note how it's been mirror polished on its top, beveled on its outer edges, and then internally skeletonized with each side, top and bottom, featuring 4 sharp interior angles. Yes, Journe finish is growing up, and it is catching up with the Holy Trinity. Quite a bit better in this instance than many Audemars Piguet pieces. It's fully competitive with Patek, Vacheron, and many Lange watches. And you can see that we have big rounded and mirrored bevels. You can still see if you look under magnification that there's some faint milling marks on the bevels, but they've gotten a lot better. The second pass with some sort of a buffer, probably a drill bit with a felt tip, it's created this rounded mirrored convex shine that really steps up into the ranks of high-end watchmaking from what was previously comparable to the kind of finish you would find on a JLC or a Zenith. Good, but not quite horlogerie. Now it is. You can also see all the screw heads as well as the upper planes of these cocks for the remontoir system. They've all been mirror polished, so everything that turns black as I rotate this through the light is black polished. That's executed using diamond paste and usually a spinning wooden wheel. You can also see that there is a little bridge that holds the pinion that moves this rack. So it's a rack and pinion system that allows adjustment of the gap between the balance wheels to tune the resonance. You can see that rose gold screw, but look adjacent to it. There are 2 flanking sharp interior angles on the polished steel component. And then we have these kind of unusual lateral Côte de Genève. You can also see that there's solarization on the crown wheel core. Let's talk about these constant force devices. You can see that this is beautifully symmetrical, just like the dial side. This barrel and the differential ensure constant and consistent and equal energy each side. But it's the constant force device that has a secondary spring, effectively a 1-second power reserve, and that's topped off each second by the barrel. So it's that 1-second power reserve that then dumps its energy downstream to the escapements. So for the first 28 hours of the 42-hour power reserve, the escapements are driven from energy coming off the 1-second remontoir power reserve and not off the barrels. That's why that's important. There's also other elements here that are quite impressive. You can see if you look at the bridges for the components of the remontoir, the base of each bridge is satinated, and then the upper plane is polished and then beveled on the side. And you can see more of those interior angles on the half bridges themselves. And then you can see that we have beveling in the screw and the jewel sinks, which is impressive, and the locating pegs, you can see them all along the edge here, that are used to locate bridges on the base plate. Those pegs have been polished on their top. So like I said, Journe finishing is really making strides. It's a big movement. It is 34.6 millimeters in diameter. And all this is water resistant down to 30 meters. So again, you don't want to take it swimming, but splashes while washing your hands or getting caught out in the rain, that's just fine. It'll survive. A fantastic intellectual achievement. The acoustic coupling is something that remains distinctively FP Journe. I've often told people if you want an iconic Journe, it's really going to be one of two watches. It's going to be a tourbillon with remontoir, or it's going to be a resonance. Now you can step up to a resonance with remontoir and this extraordinarily uncommon full factory bracelet. Reach out to Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase and pricing details, or 2 details, because I know people are going to ask. It's a 3 Hz beat rate, and no, it doesn't feature hacking, but once again, if you want a 0 reset, you just do that. It's that simple. Again, reach out to Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.